Yeah, NBA Straya, how are you going? How you going? I hope you're all right. You bloody well better be, because it's Wednesday, Hump Day, April 3rd, all day. And I'm your host, James Clement. You can see me on the AFL Today Show, the official AFL Supercoach podcast, as well as Fox Sports Lab NBA. All the good stuff, basically. That's got your mate Jim on it. I'm here in the Sports Today studios, aka the James Clement's Excellence in Podcasting Memorial Studios. That was pretty excellent. I just forgot how to speak. Nice one. Fun, weird NBA day today, right? The big men. The big men come see the big men fly. You saw Joel Embiid come back. We had Wemby versus the Joker. It was a bit of chaos. We're going to break it all down in terms of what it means for the playoffs as well as all the NBA Straya Game Wraps. And that's not a knife. Oh, mate, no, mate. Spud of the night, better than Lonzo Ball. We've got some the Unpopular Opinion of the Day, and OUTBACK Takehouse, where we're serving up a particularly flame-grilled take today. Oh, geez, I'll tell you. There's also an Andrew Gaze Grey Mumber Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence, and a pick and preview for another really big slate of basketball tomorrow. I don't know, homie, what they've done now, they've just gone, oh, crap, we're going to finish the season in like a week. So it feels like they've just crammed all the games into every day. So there's like teams with still 2 back-to-backs to go. It's chaos. Anyway, so we'll pick and preview each of those. So that'll be fun. Trust me. It's your mate Jim. You can trust him. All right. That's not a bad tagline, actually. It's your mate Jim. You can trust him. That kind of rhymes. Or at least it's a bit of alliterative gear. But without further ado, let's get into it. Episode 1066 of NBA Straya. 1066. What happened then, homie? The Battle of Hastings. Remember that? Wasn't it the King of England copped a fucking arrow in the eye? That sounds about right. Anyway, let's go.
This is Joe Ingles, and you're listening to NBA Australia.
Watch out for the shark attack.
Tell you what, you better watch out for the Rondo attack, because he retired. Now, this is a bit sad. I love a bit of rage on Rondo because he's a fucking lunatic. I love just a weirdo. Like a guy who doesn't conform to any sort of the weird basketball norms and just has giant long arms and like a computer brain and like was always sort of just every so often let down by how much of a psycho he was. I love it. He was a lunatic, homie, and I loved him. So it's a bit of a shame that he retired, but at the same time, he hasn't played for 2 years, so really, who gives a shit? But it was nice of him to go, yeah, I'm done. And everyone's like, oh, I guess that's sad. It's like if Delhi came out and was like, yeah, I've retired from the NBA. Everyone's like, yeah, you're in the NBL. Like, what are you doing? Like, it makes sense, I guess. I mean, he did play in the NBL, come back, play for the Kings, then go back to the NBL, but still. That's neither here nor there. Look, Rondo, I feel like his reputation as a coach on the floor, a coach on the sidelines, was always kind of a little bit hamstrung by his reputation of being a giant dickhead a lot of the time. But it's also just because he's like one of those super competitive dudes who's like, I don't want to lose at anything, including like checkers, including cards, including arguments with my coach, just that sort of gear. And it was kind of fun that he ended up, playing with LeBron, of all people. The dude that he went to battle with time and time again when he was on those Celtics teams. But, of course, those, the 7, 8, 9, 10 Celtics, all the way through 2012, have got a special place in a lot of people's hearts. It's like that sort of the widespread availability of NBA sort of hit around that point, right? And then we had the 08 finals between the Lakers and the Celtics. And it did get a lot of folks back into the old NBA, which is kind of cool. And Rondo was a big part of that. So it's a bit of a sad one. But still, everything turns. Yeah. Time just keeps on creeping. Other news, the Sixers. Joel Embiid came back. And they're probably going to get fined for it, which is pretty good. They've already been fined for fucking around with injury reports with Joel Embiid as well. But he was listed out all day today until 5:49 Eastern time. Then he was upgraded to available like an hour later. So that'd be half an hour or so before tip, which is a bit fucky. I like it. But there's a reason why the injury reports exist. It's so that people know what the fuck is going on. So the Sixers were fined $75,000 back in February after a injury report violation with Embiid. It was just fun to see him out there again too. Look, the Sixers have been a tough watch without him. They didn't have Maxey today either, but they still got the win. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, out there costing his team money. Other news, Shams was talking about Steph Curry and going, yep. So he and Sabrina Ionescu is probably going to happen again. Kind of cool, the big shootout. And now they're looking at having Caitlin Clark maybe going up against Klay Thompson. I don't know about this one because Klay Thompson, bit washed. Like, surely we could actually get someone young and good like Caitlin Clark. She's young. She's good. Klay, it's just like, hey, man, I like boats and my dog. And I'm like, check out my rings. And you're like, all right, Klay, settle the fuck down. Now that you're a starter again, maybe you're good. He wasn't too bad today. They got that win, but still. And the other little bit of news, there wasn't much going on today, obviously. But there was like a really fun quote about Josh Hart talking about Jimmy Butler because the Knicks and the Heat played today. And he's like, yeah, Jimmy's out there just doing side quests. I loved the way that he put this. He's like, yeah, he's just doing side quests. All season he's just doing side quests. And now it's April. He's like, oh, fuck yeah, the main story quest. I better get onto that, winning the title. Because it's like, yeah, Jimmy Butler can fuck around like most of the season. And they go, oh, yeah, watch out, it's playoff Jimmy. It takes a lot of balls for someone to like do that when they've never won a title. Like, it's just weird. It's like cool, but at the same time, still a bit weird. Right, let's do some game wraps. Game wraps. So the game wraps from today, you had the Lakers kick the shit out of the Raptors, 128-111. The Raptors, as we've sort of been on top of on this here program, NBA Straya, for about a month, basically the Raptors and the Jazz, without sort of doing anything, they've just gone, nobody look, but we're tanking. Nobody look, we're tanking. Everybody, we're tanking. Fuck it, we're tanking. So they're tanking. And they got smashed at home by LeBron James to the point where LeBron and AD didn't play any of the fourth quarter. LeBron only played a couple of minutes and it was like, pack her up, boys. The 36-21 the third quarter did it. Happy days, though, for the Lakers because they've got this like nice little run right at the end of the season where they had a sort of, this road trip, right? You're like, oh, geez, it's a pretty tough, long road trip towards the end of the season. They've got lots of away games left. And it's like, yeah, they beat the Bucks. They beat the Grizzlies. They lost that weird Pacers game. They then beat the Nets and kicked the shit out of the Raptors. And then tomorrow they play the Wizards. Like, I think they're going to be okay. So good job. RJ Barrett was back for the Raptors. Enjoy this. 28, 6 and 6, and IQ had 20 and 6 as well. Kelly Olynyk, the Hoosier, had 14, 7 and 4 as well. The Lakers 25 and 7 as I predicted on this here program yesterday. D'Lo had 25 and 7 because it's a game against a shit team and it doesn't matter. Look at D'Lo go for 30. I said yesterday he went for 25 and 7. Pretty bloody close, Jim. LeBron James had 23, 4 and 9. Shot 10 of 12 from the floor. Now, we talked about this, the missed field goals record that he's going for on yesterday's show, actually, because Kobe's got the record of most missed shots in NBA history. And LeBron's only 47 or whatever it was field goals behind him. I feel like LeBron took that personally. He's like, fuck that, I'm never missing again. Check this out. Anthony Davis had 21 and 12 and 3 quarters. Lakers 43 and 33. Toronto 23 and 52. But that's an interesting sort of result, obviously, for the Lakers. The Lakers. Because they're still only 1.5 games behind the Suns in the 9 spot. But because they won today, handy just rack them up, win the games. Got to keep doing it for the Lakers because just got to stay above the Warriors, don't you? God, they love that double chance, though, if they get up into the 8 spot. God, I really hope that the Suns faltered, Lakers fans. Speaking of faltering, the Bucks lost to the Wizards. What the hell was this? No Dame, as we talked about on yesterday's show. The Wizards actually just win this one outright. I picked the Wizards plus 13.5, no shit. And then they just won the game by themselves as well. Because, as I've been banging on about, geez, Jimmy, you like to talk about how you're right about things all the time. Yeah, because I'm fucking awesome. Just check this shit out. Denny Avdija, Corey Kispert, keep a fucking eye on them because they play fucking hard. And over the last 2 months, they've sort of been giving us a little bit of something. They were really good today. So no Dame, though. No hope for the Bucks, question mark. Pat Bev starts in his place. He wasn't good. Wiz just sort of choked him out. And Giannis had a big triple-double, 35, 15, and 10. Didn't matter because, like, fuck all. Like, I think Middleton had the 24, 9, and 6. But Lopez was shit. Pat Bev was shit. It was just a bit of a mess of a game if you're a Bucks fan. Because, I mean, it was one of those games as well where you're like, oh, yeah, their depth is cooked. Like, Pat Bev, Malik Beasley. Beasley couldn't hit the side of a fucking barn if he threw a ball at it. Daniel Gallinari had the 6 points, but the 6 minutes, he went and hit A3, and that was it. But it was like the likes of Crowder going 2 of 7, 6 of 14 for fighting Bobby Portis, fighting around the world. He had 12 and 12, but on 14 shots. Like, it's just tough. Paddy Connaughton had 4 of 11 shooting for his 15 points. Just not quite efficient enough. They shot 43%. They took 10 more shots than the Wizards and lose this game. That is absolute chaos. Like, the Wiz just sort of did enough, turned the ball over twice, or 2 fewer times, got 3 more rebounds and just eked it out. It's crazy. They were just a little bit more efficient because they shot 50%. The Bucks shot 43.7. Kispert had 27 and 7. Love him. 23, 8 and 5 for Danny Avdija. And 16 points, 13 assists for Jordan Poole. And the other Jay Butler, Jared, was he doing side quest? No, he was doing the main quest today because he had 17 points and shot 7 and 10. Washington, out of nowhere, are now 15 and 61 because they beat the Bucks, who were 47 and 28. OKC Philly played an absolute belter of a game. I enjoyed this one. 105-109. No SGA. No J-Dub. No Tyrese Maxey. No worries. Still fun. The biggest problem I had, so when Joel Embiid comes back, Chet Holmgren goes, I'm not afraid. Did you hear me? Did you hear me, Mr. Clements? I'm not afraid. I'm like, good on you, Chet. Go get him, big fella. And he's like, okay. And then got obliterated a couple of times by Embiid. But was also hitting threes himself and played his ass off. He had 22, 6, and 7. Loved it. Could have done with a bit more. Same goes for Josh Giddey, the mop-top mamba. 10, 5, and 3. Gids, what are you doing? He took 8 shots. This was horrible. Jalen Williams hit a couple of shots. Missed a wide open 3 at the end. And this is kind of what it all came down to. It was back and forth, and then the Sixers got on a little run right at the end. You forget just how efficient Embiid is at just getting to the line. And you're like, oh, right. This is how the Sixers win close games. They just give to the big fella. He gets fouled, hits his free throws, away they go. Kelly Oubre hit some massive threes as well. Tobias Harris wasn't shit, so that's how they won. It's like, all right, Tobias, we're paying you $35 million, but Joel Embiid's back. He's like, you got a boss. Here's some threes, and I'll do nothing else. And you're like, I guess. Fucking why not? It is awesome, though, when you hear like his own fans, the Sixers fans, boo Tobias Harris. I'm like, Philly people are after my own heart. They really are. Because I do the same when I'm watching him on tally. I'm like, boo! Boo! Blow out your ass, Tobias Harris, etc. Anyway, look, the Thunder took them all the way down. It was like a massive run at the end. It was a 20 to 6 run, I think, down the stretch for Philly. And OKC couldn't get Giddey back in the game to orchestrate the offense. And then Isaiah Joe and Jalen Williams had a few awesome open looks right at the end to tie it all up. Completely cooked it, and they lose the game, 109-105. Embiid played his ass off too. He was ragged by the end of this one, homie. He was just like, he's like me after walking up one set of stairs. Just, oh, bloody hell, just everything hurts. What am I doing? But he had like the biggest knee brace in the world on as well. Just out there carrying a golf cart around on his fucking knee. It was that big. Anyway, good game and a really big win for Philly because it definitely changes like the Heat one as well, which I'll get to in literally a couple of seconds. But yeah, it keeps the pressure on the Heat just there in the 7-8 play-in spots right now. But the 10, 5, and 3 for Gids was pretty bad. Dort and Wiggins both had 15, and it looked like they could steal this, but just not quite enough offense down the stretch because, tell you what, Gordon Hayward, that dude stinks. Like, he's more cooked than one of my old man's steaks. Like, 20 minutes, 3 of 5 from the floor, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. It was a -3 and just running around like a chook with its head cut off. It was just horrible. Anyway, Sixers, 24, 6 and 7 for Embiid, 25 for Oubre. He hit 4 threes. Love that. 18, 6 and 4 for Tobias the Never Nude Harris. Missed everything that wasn't a 3, though. He went 5 of 8 from downtown. And Campaign had 10, 10 and 5 in place of Maxey. Philly, now 41 and 35. Oklahoma City, 52 and 23. What does this mean for the top of the West? Well, we'll get to that once we've talked about Denver and Minnesota. after these couple of games. Miami beat the piss out of the Knickerbockers of New York City, 109-99 in Miami. Tough one. Changed my pick to Miami after I went, hang on a second, and looked at their starters for the day. I'm like, Jimmy Butler's playing, Bam's playing. They're going to be too good for the Knicks at home. And they were favorited as well by the end. So, yeah, tough one for the Knicks. It was just a bit of Brunson. Dante had 31 points, hit 6 threes. Deuce, he had 22 and 4, went 4 of 8 from 3. Brunson had 20 points and 10 assists, but shot 5 of 18. Yes. Bojan had 16 points. Like, Miami are the exact team where if you're the Knicks and you're like, geez, our fucking depth is taking a massive hit with no Randall, with no OG. God, what are we going to do? And you're like, yeah, against a team like the Heat, which will just grind you into dust, not much. For the Heat, Terry Rozier was on a heater. He had 34. 8 of 11 from downtown. He had 17, 6 and 5 for Jimmy Butler doing his main quest, apparently. He had bam, go 15 and 9, and Haywood Highsmith 14 off the bench too. They just manufactured enough points to the Heaters, and you got to watch out for them when they do that. Like, this is the classic Miami. We're just getting towards the playoffs, and we're just going to hold like the Knicks to 99 points, score 109 ourselves, and just grind you to make you our bread. It was yeah, like even Kevin Love hit a couple of threes, missed everything else. Duncan Robinson, the exact same thing, but they went 17 of 38 from downtown. If the Heat are hitting some threes, you're fucked, mate. No Patty Mills, though, which sucked. Come on. What are you doing, Heat? Same time he's played a little bit lately, so just resting him for the run. I like that. 42 and 33 now, Miami. 44 and 31 for the Knicks. That makes it a weird sort of mix in the middle of the East, right? Because with that loss, the Knicks then drop. That's their third straight. 44 and 31 has them in 5th, which is actually behind Orlando and only 1.5 up on the Pacers. Watch out now. Could get very squirrely for the Knickerbockers. Houston, Minnesota played a pretty fun one. Houston were up really big early, and I was watching this. I'm like, wow, let's go Houston. I picked Houston, feeling pretty good about this. And then they gave up like a fucking 14-4 run out. Well, I think they had gone on a 14-4 run, and then Minnesota just ripped off like this 20-2 run. You're like, oh, it's a game of runs. Fucking hell. And it was a hell of a run by the Wolves because they just kicked the shit out of them. It was chaos. Big in the second quarter, and then got smashed, did the Rockets. Then came flying back late. Fred VanVleet just doing all sorts of weird sort of shit. And Ant-Man just causes all sorts of havoc. All the steals, all this craziness at the end. And Houston end up falling just short. Jalen Green tended a bit of a spud, went 2 of 11 from downtown. He had 26, 5 and 6. Fred VanVleet, the fighting VanVleets, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 steals. Not bloody bad. 18 and 8 for Jabari. Rock'em, sock'em, block'em, jock'em, Landau. Didn't get too much look in. Amen Thompson had the 9 points on 9 shots. He had 9 rebounds. Loves a good 9. And Whitmore had 14 too. It's good to see him back, the rookie. Just don't know if it's going to be good for their overall kind of vibe. You know what I mean? The Wolves, Naz Reid hit some massive shots in this game. He is, look, if you look at the roster makeup of the Wolves and you go, well, we don't have Karl Anthony Towns, former number 1 pick, very good basketball player, bit of a fucking D-bag. In his place, we'll just put Naz Reid now, one of the best sort of like all-round scoring big men who comes off the bench in the NBA, and bang, they look this good. God, he was fantastic. 25 and 6, 3 of 5 from downtown. 21 for Ant-Man, who apparently doesn't hit threes anymore. Jesus, he went 0 of 6 from downtown. And I tell you what, old Anthony Edwards is going through a bit of a dry spell with the old 3-ball. Because, I mean, this is maybe a little bit Spud of the 90, but he has not hit a 3 in his last 3 games. He's gone 0 of 8, 0 of 5, and 0 of 6. Now, I'm no math magician, but if you go 0 of 19, homie, I think your 3-point shooting percentage is pretty bad in that stretch. 0 of 19. Bloody hell. Anyway, still got the win, though. Mike Conley was very steady, 14 and 6, 3-4 from downtown. Slow-mo, same thing. Rudy Gobert, Gustavo Tower had 12 and 14. Minnesota, 52 and 23. Does that sound familiar? Yes, because it's the exact same record as the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then Houston. Tough loss because the Warriors win. It's the old double loss. That pushes them 3 games back behind the Warriors with only 7 or so to go. They are, those Rockets, 38 and 37. Tough one. Spurs, wait, no. Cleveland. They beat Utah. Donnie Mitchell no-showed. Same as Rudy Gobert, apparently. They haven't played it against the Jazz, their old team, since they got traded. 129, 113. Who cares, though? Utah just stink. I already did my yell about the font yesterday for the Suns. Watching the Jazz today, they're taking the piss with those horrible un-Jazz jerseys. It's a soft J, Yaz. But on top of that, get this one, homie. Half-time sort of entertainment. I think it was a timeout, maybe. Dude has to hit a bunch of shots from all these different spots on the court. Gets down to the last one. He's got to make it. It's from 3. And he hits it. He's won a car. And they go, nah. Didn't beat the buzzer. And everyone's like, he fucking beat the buzzer. What the shit? And then Utah are like, oh, God, did he? Oh, God. Oh, fuck. Go back and check the replay. He hit it before the buzzer. They gave him the car. Love that. Fucking love it. One for the little guys. The Jazz are still shit, though. Sensible at 22 points. Taylor Hendricks had 18. He's been up and down, the rookie. Shows some really nice flashes. I was watching a bit of this one. I'm like, who the fuck was that? Oh, that's right. Hendricks. Cool. Nice. Not bad. He's just got he's like, you watch him play and he looks like Johnny Isaac, but like a little bit smaller and not as good, but still. 19 and 7 for the Sex Man, Colin Sexton and Keontae. Look, if Keontae George is going to have a bad shooting night, the Utah Jazz are cooked, but that's the entire point. They are tanking. The Cavs went 16 and 39 from 3, which is good. The Jazz went 16 and 37, which is even better, but still. Karras, my sweet baby, had 26. Garland had 8 and 8. Rough night for him. But the big men, they feasted. Mobley and Allen. Mobley! Both had 21. Sam Merrill making a late run at geez, mister. I'm pretty good at shooting. Look how good I am at shooting this ball. I'm incredible. He's just like the latest in a long line of white sharpshooters in the NBA. It's like, hey, what do you do? He's like, shoot threes. It's like, yep, you're white. Checks out. It's like, all right, 46 and 30 for the Cavs. Utah, 29 and 47. The Spurs fell short against the Nuggets. But as I said on this here show yesterday, they would push them. They were like 16.5-point underdogs. Why is that, Jim? Well, they lost, obviously, Jeremy Sohan and Devin Vassell, right, for the rest of the season. Tough gear, because they're not bad NBA players. As much shit as I give Jeremy Sohan, but this was the Wemby versus Joker show. They went at each other a little bit, the two big fellas. Love this. Spurs were right there with them until basically the end of this game. And never, when you're down this many players, when you don't have many good players to sort of begin with, it's always going to be a tough ask to beat the best team in the NBA that's not named the Boston Celtics. But Denver just got past them in the fourth quarter, just sort of held them off. Because Trey Jones, he had a Jason Kidd. What's that, Jim? Oh, that's the triple-double where you get 10, 12, and 11. Or 10, 10. You just fall over the triple-double. But Trey Jones, just giving him a little bit of something. Wemby had 23 points, 15 rebounds, 8 assists, and 9 blocks. You're taking the piss out of everything, you French bastard alien thing. Brandon, he had 24 points as well. But the Spurs, look, just as a team, they hit 13 of 44 from downtown, just not quite good enough. Chetty Osman, Champagne, Zach Collins, it's pretty thin on the ground at this point. No Keldon Johnson, no Vassell, no Sohan. You're cooked, mate. But they did put up a fight, so that's kind of good. For the Nugs, you had the Joker. He had a lazy 42 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks, pretty bloody good. Can play a bit. 23, 7, and 4 for Air Gordon, and MPJ had 15 and 16. Denver now 53 and 23. Why is that important? Well, it's because they're back on top of the West by a half game ahead of the Wolves and the Thunder in 2-3. So that's a really good win for Denver, just to make sure that they didn't get tripped up by the Spurs like we've seen so many times. Denver feeling pretty good about themselves. And I'll tell you what, on my pick before the start of the year, nothing has changed. Dallas fell short in Golden State. I tipped Dallas in this one, and the Dallas really Dallased me. Tell you what, 104-100. This stunk. Nobody, Steph Curry played shit. He can't hit a shot at the moment. And so instead, Dallas just went back into full Alice mode, no D. Even though it was a 104-100 game, it was just missing shots. They couldn't put the clamps on anybody. And especially in that fourth quarter, they couldn't get any fucking stops. They got it down to a 2-point game. Again, Clay hits free throws. They roll it into the win. And you're like, yep, Dallas just came up short. They can't do anything. It sucked. It was brutal. the Warriors defense just kicked up a little bit of a notch. 6 players in double figures, but also, more importantly, Andrew Wiggins is back. Hey, what's going on here? I thought you might use me here a little bit there. Now I've dealt with all of my personal problems, eh? I'm back and playing like you're paying me to. God, I love doing the Canadian accent, but still, Andrew Wiggins, Air Canada, was bloody-tastic. The shot that he hit towards the end of the fourth quarter, bloody hell. 23 points, 6 players in double figures. Steph struggled, but so did the Mavs. Luka had a 30, 12, and 11 triple-double. Kyrie had 27, went 4 of 8 from 3. It was everybody else who really just wasn't very... Like, PJ Hamilton, Washington had 20 points, but it was 18 shots to get there. None of the other guards, like Derrick Jones Jr., Hardaway, the sort of swing dudes, right? 0-4 and 3-6 respectively. Dante Exum only hit 1 shot. Dallas will have these games. They didn't have Derek Lively, and if you can't have that sort of 48 minutes of a real proper defensive rim protector, you're going to get cooked if you're Dallas, and that's where we are. So a bit of a shit one. Golden State, 23 points for Wiggo, 13 points for Steph. 5 of 18 shooting. Jesus. Did have 7 rebounds and 7 assists. Clay had 14 points on 14 shots. Draymond was really good towards the end as well. His rebounding and just shitty little offensive rebounds and putbacks made all the difference down the stretch. 11 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals and a block. God, I hate to admit it because he's a massive dickhole, but that was a good game. CP3, 14 and 5 as well. Golden State, 41-34. Dallas, 45 and 30. Cooked this one because had they have eked out that win, Dallas, they would have been in the driver's seat for at least the home court advantage against the Clippers in the 4-5 spot. But because they lose this, they're back even with the Pelicans at 5-6 in the West and 2 games back of the Clippers. So that's a bit of a kick in the dick for them. They were just lucky the Clippers also lost because they lost 95-109 in Sacramento. The problem is Sacramento also won, and they're only a game behind the Mavs. So Sacramento win this. No Kawhi Leonard. The news, I should have had this in the news bit actually, now I think about it. He just fucked off home. He's like, this road trip, shit. I don't want to go to Sacramento. I'm going to LA instead because my knee's sore. They asked Ty Lue, the coach of the Clippers, and he's like, yeah, I didn't even know his knee was fucking hurt. I heard, and he's like, I've got to go look after my knee. And you're like, that's not very good communication, is it? What are we doing here? He's like, Coach, I need to go and get my knee fixed. He sent that in a message, just why not? It's fucking weird. Stop being weird, Kawhi, you weirdo. Anyway, huge third quarter for the Kings after being up by 5 at the half, and they just ran away with it. Blew the doors off them. They're up 21 going into the fourth quarter, and this one was a laugher. I was watching this going, yeah, let's give them some hell Clippers. You've still got Rusty Westbrook. You've still got Harden. You've still got Paul George, and they all played shit. Paul George, 18 points, shot 5 of 12 in only 29 minutes. Rusty was actually good. I'll hand that one to him. He had 20 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists as well. But that's the problem. If Rusty's not giving you a shit ton of assists and just running shit, and they're like, Rusty's going to score, what are we going to do? Cry about it? Harden went 1 of 7. He was horrible. 8 assists, 5 turnovers. Zoobs had 10 and 11. Norm Powell had 17, but just not enough because the Kings have got a fully armed and operational Souvlaki King. That's right. Combination meat, thanks. Tomatoes. Thanks, mate. Yeah, easy on the tomatoes. Bit of lettuce. Yeah, chili sauce would be great. Thanks, mate. 22 points, 20 rebounds, and 9 assists. Bloody hell. 20 and 7 for Fox. That came on 20 shots, though. 19, though, for Keegan Murray. So we talked about this. Kevin Huerter and Malik Monk are out for the Kings. They need everybody else to step up. Trey Lyles did as well. 15, 4, and 5. But Keegan Murray actually hitting some goddamn shots is very handy. Sacramento now 44 and 31, which puts them at 7th. That's 1 game behind the Mavs and the Pelicans in 5-6. So they're right there. And the Clippers, 47 and 28. Still only 2 games ahead of the Mavs and the Pels. Tough one. Let's do an NBA Straya approved performance of the night.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
Well, that's not a knife. We did lose our speaker in the studio. I don't know why this one keeps turning off, but here we are. I'll give it to Nikola Jokic because, look, he's going to win the MVP. We get it. He had 42 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. Shot 18 at 32. And look, the Spurs have proven very, very fucking pesky. So it took the Joker without Jam and Jamal Murray and co. And with KCP not hitting a fucking shot. to just go hammer and tongs. But the cool part was he also passed Carmelo Anthony as the third all-time leading scorer for the Nugs. That's pretty cool. Great job, Joker. But it's also just one of those classic masterclasses. Like Joel Embiid did this as well against Wemby earlier in the season where you're like, all right, young fella, check this one out. Yeah, fucking let's go. Bang. Wemby was fantastic as well, but I'm going to talk about him again later. But Jesus, the Joker. That's a nice reminder. How about Spud of the night?
Spud, 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 it is Spud of the night.
Spud of the night. We had a few of them. KCP, the notorious KCP, goes 1 of 8. The tough one for me was like Malik Beasley, 2 of 13. Jesus, for the Bucks. It's like, yo, Malik, we don't have Dame. Can you hit his shot? Can you hit a shot? And he's like, nah. Just nah. 1 of 10 from downtown. 2 of 11 for Conte George. We don't shit on the rookies, though. Austin Reeves went 2 of 9. Brunson, 5 of 18. But really, it's probably this Clippers game against the Kings, right? James Harden, the 6 points, 8 assists. Geez, Jim, that's not bad. He also had 5 turnovers and shot 1 of 7, 1 of 5 from downtown. In a game where if the Clippers win that, they're basically locked into home court in the first round, no matter who they play in the 4-5 spot, right? But you drop that, there's still only 2 games behind, between you and the Mavs and the Pals. Just a brutal one. So James Harden, the pressure got going, and he did too. He's like, all right, fuck this. This is a bit hard. Where are the strippers? Let's talk hard. Old mate, no mates.
Old mate, no mates. Old mate, no mates.
Old mate, no
Old mate, no
mates.
mates. Old mate, no mates.
Old mate, no mates.
Old mate, no mates.
Who's got no mates today? Look, far be it from me, not a rich guy, to shit on rich guys. But wow, rich guys can be massive dickholes, can't they? So Matt Ishbia, apparently there's like these leaks. He and Dan Gilbert, they've got this famous rivalry because they both engage in home loans, big home loan companies. Now, I'm not going to use the word predatory or practices or home loans in the same sentence. That was all broken up. I just don't think they're very good dudes. That's my vibe. Like, oh, yeah, they seem really good. There's always just something fucking weird about these sorts of dudes. It's like, if you're going to fuck over that many people with your shitty business practices, like, there's just something fucking wrong in your head, right? That's kind of how it sort of feels. And these, like, so many NBA owners, like, give off that vibe. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And the owner of the Suns, Matt Ishbia, was reportedly on record saying shit about Dan Gilbert, we fucking took those cocksuckers down. Fuck them. We're going to keep fucking sticking it to them forever. Fuck those guys. We're number one. Now, people have criticized him for that. I say that's actually pretty fucking cool. I'm all about just going like full on hammer and tongs. You don't have to be a nice dude, cool guy. Jim doesn't have to want to hang out with you. But if that's your kind of entire vibe, good on him. That's awesome. He really went full on at it. And it's like, yeah, stick it to him. Dan Gilbert seems like a bit of a dickhole too, but obviously. Anyway. But he's a bit of an old mate, no mates, because everybody's like ragging and now they're all coming after him for this sort of stuff. So a bit of a tough one if you're Ishbia. Bit of a tough one if you're Dan Gilbert as well. When that comes out, like if Homie had a bunch of phone messages come out and go, fuck, I'm so sick of producing Jim's fucking show. All he does is yell and swear and like bring me into shit that I'm just like, I have no interest in. And I'm like, all right, thanks, Homie. And I'm like, I'd read that and go, yeah, your old mate Jim's a bit old mate, no mates now. But so that's how Matt Ishbia is. I like that. See how I painted that picture, Homie? That was good. Pantsing of the night. The Jazz for a minute until they actually gave that fucking dude his car. Because this was like, your mate Jim had both fucking barrels loaded and ready to just fucking let launch. But the Jazz, they actually made good and gave the dude the car. That is good on you. But they were about to get pantsed. Like the thing is, I think they kind of got pantsed. They realized they fucked up and they made it good, which is exactly how they should go about things. But I mean, also just don't job the dude out of a car in the first place. Like, what are you doing? So he gets jobbed out of the car. They go back to the instant replay, bring the guy back onto the court, and it's like, you won the car. And he's like, hooray. It's like, all right, put him through the fucking ringer though. So yeah, you definitely got pants on the internet though, Utah, in the meantime. Just as well you sorted it out. Who was better than Lonzo Ball?
Lonzo was the best player in high school. He was the best player in college. You think he'll get to the pros and be like, I made it to the pros, now I can be average. He's coming for everybody.
Coming for everybody. You're goddamn right. Bryce Sensible, he's having a hell of a run. 22 points today. And what was it? 7 rebounds, 4 assists and a steal. But he shot the absolute piss out of it, did Bryce Sensible for the Yaz. 8 of 14 from the floor, 6 of 9. Nice. From 3. Love that. And easily better than a bloke who hasn't played in 2 years, Lonzo Ball. Bryce Sensible. This is it. Like, I'm just happy that the Jazz are just rolling dudes out there and just going, fucking have at it, boyos. And they're like, oh, I'm fucking sick. Thanks, guys. Can we fix our shit-looking jerseys? I'm still so angry about those horrible jerseys. Just that shit font. Sort your shit out, Utah. Anyway, let's do some yeah-nahs right after. Let's say this one.
This is Cam Glidden.
This is Anthony Drimmick.
This is Mitch McCarron.
This is Jason Giddey.
This is Darryl McDonald.
Hey guys, this is Hugh Greenwood.
Yo, what's going on? This is Illy.
This is Mark Worthington, or commonly known as Wortho, and you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
And you're listening to NBA Straya.
You're listening to NBA Straya.
Goddamn right, you listen to NBA Straya. And we're going to do some yeah-nahs now. Brought to you by the NBA Straya shop. Get your merch, get your merch. You can get something like this. Amazing coffee mug. That's right. Only at NBAStraya.com/shop, or just click through on the socials. That's right. Producer Homie finally fucking reminded me to bring in one of the coffee mugs, because I keep saying it every damn time I do this show in this big studio, going, oh, I should bring in a coffee mug, shouldn't I? And then I can show people and they're watching it on the YouTubes. And then Homie was like, Jim, you bring in that fucking thing? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm an idiot. I just always forget. So there you go. Just having a bit of a shippy ship. They are bloody good coffee mugs, I'll tell you that much. You can also get a hoodie, get a t-shirt, get a stubby holder. Go check it out. NBAStraya.com/shop, or just click through on the pretty pictures on the socials. It's Danny D. Oh, Danny. Josh, I had a good one. Is it better to not take any threes at all, a.k.a. Benny the Bricky, rather than letting it fly and not making any? This run by Edwards has to be a Hall of Fame dry spell from behind the arc. And that's what I just said. What was it, 0 for 19? Fucking hell. No, it's way better to be Anthony Edwards and go, fuck it, I'm just going to keep shooting. Because at one point, I'm going to hit like 6 in a row and fuck you guys. Whereas, because obviously the defenders on Ben Simmons' teams are like, well, he's not going to shoot that. So I'm going to stand over here guarding that guy and let Ben Simmons do whatever the fuck he's going to do, because he's too afraid to even drive now because he doesn't want to get fouled. So because he's a coward, we can guard everybody else, and they're playing 4-on-5 on offense. At least with Anthony Edwards, he's like, fuck you, I'm going to hit this one. And they're like, shit, he might. So we probably should defend him. So, yeah. Even though I literally have a segment called Spud of the Night, where I will rake you over the coals for having a shit shooting night and, turning the ball over a bunch or whatever, it is still much more fucking impactful if you just keep fucking shooting it, and you're probably going to make some at some point, right? Rather than just being a fucking stone cold coward and not shooting because it's not in your skill set. Well, it should be in your skill set. I'm going to go work on my game. Sure. Bucks, are they going to regret the Doc Rivers? Do you think they regret it right now? Yeah, nah. They lost to the Wizards. It's just, it doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, right? For the Bucks, it probably matters for your mate Jim, who had the over/under for the Bucks. I had the over. I think it was like 53 wins. They're not going to get there, especially with that loss today. They could have given it a shake otherwise, but now they're not going to. So that's a bit of a kick in the dick for me. But so Doc Rivers has actually now got more losses in his tenure as the Bucks coach than Adrian Griffin did, the bloke he replaced who they fired because he was that shit. Doc Rivers has come in and gone 14-14. Adrian Griffin had only lost 13 games by the time he was fired. I don't think they regret it, though, just because they've fucking vaguely figured out how to play defense. Like, their defensive efficiency since, like, they changed coaches is substantially better. The transition defense is way better. It's just kind of like, yeah, you didn't have Dame today, you lose. It's the growing pains, it's the teething pains. You don't have a fucking training camp. I don't think they're going to regret it. But this is the Doc Rivers experience, isn't it? It just kind of is. It's like weird, shitty losses to teams like the Wizards where you're like, fuck, we didn't see that coming. It's like, well, you should have if your coach was paying attention. You know, that kind of vibe. So, I don't know. Like Sixers fans have just gone through the Doc Rivers ringer. Now they've got Nick Nurse. It's kind of like a similar kind of ringer, but I don't know. The dude looks more like Dilbert. Whereas Doc Rivers, it's just like, everybody in the media loves this guy. No one's entirely sure why. He seems like a good hang. Cool. But can he coach anymore? I don't know. It's a weird one. Was it worth it for Embiid to come back today? Yeah, nah. I've gone back and forth on this. Probably, yeah. Because I think if the Sixers have got even a skerrick of hope, right, of trying to get at least the home court advantage in the first playing game, they needed him back today and they win. So it was kind of worth it getting a win under the belt. And it's like Embiid is the only one who knows just how fucking sore that knee is. He had a procedure, remember, not surgery. If you ask me, it's the same fucking thing. What is it? Oh, we just put some stem cells on it. Did you rub it on the outside or did you put any on the inside? Because if you put it on the inside, it was probably with a cut. And I'd call that surgery. Anyway, and like, it's kind of just enough games left in this regular season to make a little bit of a difference to the standings, but also just to get him up to a point where he's feeling healthy enough in the playoffs that he can sort of be at full strength and playing his normal allotted minutes. But it sort of leads into a bit of a, I don't know, unpopular opinion of the day, I guess, sort of for this one.
Now look at me, please. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
I still don't know if you should be at all afraid of the Sixers, even if Embiid's healthy. Like, again, that kind of leads into, wait a second, let's do it, into a bit of Outback Takehouse. It's Wednesday at Outback. You know what that means? Well, it's school holidays, but the Squids and I still rode down to the bloody, what is it, the council's school holiday program, cricket bats in hand. And as soon as we saw any of those bloody magpies, whap, bap, 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 out the side of the bloody bikes. So now what have you got for your appetizers? Magpie wings. Only at Outback. They go great with a flame grilled take. And today's flame grilled take is Joel Embiid was never injured. He just took 2 months off to get ready for the playoffs. Only at Outback. I don't mind that one. But at the same time, if you watch him move today, you're like, there, that dude was fucked. He actually also gave a really interesting sort of post-game interview where he's like, yeah, it was kind of mental, like the problems that I was dealing with. And you're like, Jesus, it makes sense. I mean, it sucks because that dude fucking loves playing basketball. It's just like his body keeps sort of rebelling against it. It's like me. I haven't been able to shoot a fucking basketball properly for years now with a fuck shoulder. But still, the vibe of him coming back just enough time to get back into like game shape. I do hope that he hasn't pushed himself too hard. The weird thing for me is this fucking super mysterious Kawhi injury. It's like this happened a couple of years ago, right? It's like, oh, I've got a weird knee thing. And then he never played again. And they like got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs and shit. It's like, what the fuck was that? No one knows because he's Kawhi. You don't want to piss him off. Why? Good stuff. I've got a one about Steph as well that I might say for tomorrow. That's a pretty flame grilled take. I'm just saying. He might have gotten girl germs, producer homie. Since the All-Star break, he's been shooting 36% from three and 40% overall because he went in a shooting competition with a girl and it's completely cooked his shot. It's hilarious. He contracted girl germs only at Outback. I don't know if that's how it works, but anyway. Australian Player Watch. We don't have the drop for this one, so let's do it. Straight in, Josh Giddey. I mentioned a really strange, weird meh game. Like they don't have a really good matchup for him in Philly, and it felt like he could do a lot more than he did. Don't do what Donnie doesn't want to do. 28 minutes. They couldn't get him back in late, literally because they just didn't have the timeouts. There was no stoppages. So he ends up with 10 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and a block. Only took the 8 shots. Had a couple of moments where you're like, you've shown to be way more like aggressive in the last like 2 weeks. Where's that gone, Josh? Where's that? And that might have cost him the win here because, I mean, taking the 8 shots, he usually gets into the bit of the flow. Wasn't helped by Isaiah Joe going 4 of 13 and not hitting anything outside of the 4 threes that he actually got. But Jay Lynn Williams going 2 of 8 for his 6 points didn't help either. just want to see a little bit more of an aggressive Giddey without SGA, without J-Dub. It's basically you, Chet, and Jalen Williams with the shit Wiggins and Dort. Come on, kids. Giddy up. What are you doing, mate? Giddy up. Outside of that, Jock Landale, Rock'em, Sock'em, Block'em, Jock'em Landale, the Rooster. 19 minutes, 1 of 3 from the floor, 0 of 1 from 3. 4 points, 2 rebounds, 2 turnovers. Just saying, 19 minutes, we could have used like a little bit more Jock up against the big dudes of Houston, for Houston against Minnesota. But yeah, didn't have a great one. Dante Sexum up Exum as well, as a.k.a. Kangaroo Kobe. 21 minutes against the Warriors. Wasn't too bad. 3 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds. Only took 3 shots. Only hit one of them. 1 or 2 from downtown. He had 2 turnovers as well, though. Just a bit of a kind of game for the Mavs. It's one of those weird ones, too, where they don't have Lively. Exum sort of gets out there, has some really nice moments, and you're like, whoa. But I'll tell you what, they could use like 14 points from him in this one. Didn't get it. All right, what about Andrew Gay's Grey Mumber Award for Outstanding Achievement in the Field of Excellence? Once I remember where the bloody buttons are. I was getting teased by listeners about not knowing where the buttons are in the studio, and here I am, still not knowing what the fuck is going on in this one, but I've got it now.
Andrew Gay's Grey Mumber.
All right, there you go. So I didn't bang on about the Wemby game too much against Joker, but it was bloody good. To the point where you're like, fucking hell, he's going to have a quadruple-double. And he came so bloody close. What did he end up with? Like 23, 15, 8, and 9? You're taking the piss, you French alien bastard. But he is the 4th player in NBA history, not just rookies, in NBA history, to have 7+ games in a season of 20+ points, 5+ assists, and 5+ blocks. That's insane. In NBA history, it's been Kareem, Hakeem, and the Admiral, David Robinson. Fucking, that is like just, I don't know, it's 3 of the top 30 players of all time if you want to get the Admiral up there. I don't know if I've got the Admiral in my top 30. I haven't updated my top 30 because no one cares in a long time. Right. The Patty Mills Game Day Baller Game Day Twitter check-in. I think we go back to this song because I don't even have that tune on here. But the Patty Mills Game Day Baller Game Day Twitter check-in. I wonder if it's just me being jealous at the fucking squid number 1 for going to Werribee Zoo today for his program. Patty was just out there posting a bunch of photos from his Heat tenure. So there's him and Bam helping up Jimmy Butler. Very cool. Another one of just him driving against the Raptors. And then I'm just all here for it because Patty is just like, oh, fucking, hey, check this out. How good is it? Me being on the Heat. It's like, yes, this dude fucking loves being on the Heat. Way more than he ever loved being on the Hawks. He is all about that Heat culture. The 88 jersey is still completely fire as well. So love that. All right, how did we go on the picks today? So we missed out on the Clippers, missed out on Dallas, but we hit the Spurs, we hit Cleveland, we hit Houston just, missed out on the Knicks, even though I changed that to Miami this morning and bet on it. Missed out on OKC, hit the Washington and hit the Lakers. So what's that? 5 of, hang on a second, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5 and 9. You'll still take it every day of the week. Tomorrow, though, as I mentioned, we've got a bunch of games. The Lakers on their back half of their back-to-back against the Washington Wizards. The Wiz also playing on a back-to-back. The Lakers are still 13.5-point favorites. That's fucking hilarious. Again, however, I'm tempted to take the Wiz because they're just going to keep playing their young dudes, right? I talked about Kispert and Denny Avdija and Jordan Poole, etc. The Wiz at home on a back-to-back. The Lakers, they'll probably at least limit LeBron AD's minutes a bit, but considering they set out that fourth quarter, most of it today, they should probably play. I'll still take Washington, though, just to keep it close against the old-ass Lakers. Plus 13.5 for the Wiz. Charlotte hosts Portland. Oh, God. This one stinks more than what I saw in Squid number 2's nappy this morning. Charlotte, 2.5-point favorites at home. Sure. Like, Portland are rolling out not like the world's greatest roster, obviously. They still do have the Grim Reaper himself. They play pretty tough, but Cleveland's probably got a talent edge here with Miller, Bridges, and yeah, they should be too good. Give me Charlotte -2.5. Memphis go to Milwaukee. We've just seen Milwaukee shit down their leg. Memphis, 13.5-point underdogs on the road. Memphis just play hard. That's all they do. They'll cover that one. Give me Memphis. Detroit in Atlanta. This one's a bit tougher because Detroit, geez, can they just blow? Atlanta should probably blow the doors off this one at home. It's hard to trust Atlanta, but they have had some pretty big wins of late, so I'll take the -12.5 for the Hawks. Indy, Brooklyn. Brooklyn stink. They've 1-2-3 Cancun back in fucking January. The Pacers are still fighting for their sort of playoff sitting. 7.5-point favorites in Brooklyn. Give me that in a heartbeat. Indy, -7.5. Boston, OKC. Would have been a really good game were it not for the fact that OKC are on a fucking road back-to-back. So we're taking Boston -8.5. They should probably batter the doors of the Thunder, especially if there's no J-Dub and SGA. Pour one out for a poor OKC. Boston should roll. Orlando versus the Pelicans. Awesome game. Jeez, Jim, are you sure? Yes. The Pelicans are weird, funky. They've got Zion. They've got CJ. Orlando, that defense is one of the best in the league since the All-Star break and all like most of the year. I'm going to take Orlando +4.5. They're the best covering team in the NBA. And the Pelicans, look, without Spindles, this defense of Herb Jones versus Johnny Isaac, I kind of fucking love it. I'll take Orlando in a bit of a dogfight, +4.5. Toronto, Minnesota, two other teams on a back-to-back. Toronto just got their ass handed to them by the Lakers. Minnesota basically nearly gave up the ghost against Houston. It's a home back-to-back for Minnesota. They should be fine. Give me the Wolves, -15.5. That's a big fucking number, but I think Anthony Edwards goes nuclear, and goes bang. And goes for at least 40 in that one, hits a bunch of threes to break that drought. Phoenix, Cleveland. Matt Ishbia versus Dan Gilbert. How good is this? We talked it up before. I'm going to take the Suns -5.5. Cleveland, look, Donnie Mitchell, he might play. He set out today. Still, I think Phoenix's defense is probably a little bit too good. And I don't know, the perimeter scoring of Phoenix versus the perimeter defense of Cleveland, don't like it as much. So we'll take the Suns -5.5. And there you bloody well go. That's today's show. All done. Now remember, NBA Straya will be in Adelaide. That's right, for Gather Round, because we're going over there for AFL today. So we'll be doing 2 shows in Radelaide. That'll be pretty rad. Don't know where I'm going to do them. Where are we going to do them? Producer homie. Going to run out of time. It's going to be a hotel room jobbo. Don't worry about that. But we'll be back tomorrow. Don't worry. We might actually have a really short one tomorrow. We'll just sort of fly through the games and shit. Because getting over there, watching some of the games, and then taping AFL today, then going to one of the actual AFL games the game that night, going to be a bit of a tight squeeze. So we'll chuck in a really quick one tomorrow. But that'll be fun. So remember though, AFL Today show. Get all around that on the socials. I think on Facey, you got to check out Sports Today. But we'll be doing a shit ton of videos and stuff all over the weekend for Gather Round for your AFL stuff. And I'll probably just throw in some NBA shit in there because why the fuck not? That'll be fun. I'll make homie put that up too. But you can check out the Cricket Today podcast, the Football Today podcast. What is it? Hold All Tickets, NFL Straya, all the good stuff. AFL Today, obviously. On Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can watch this one on YouTube. Go subscribe to that, would ya? You can see your mate Jim drinking from his fantastic NBA Straya coffee mug. Speaking of which, get your merch. NBAstraya.com/shop. And yeah, just make sure you rate, review, follow on all the socials. Just help a brother out, would you? Big thanks always goes to From Oslo for the intro and outro song They Rule. And so do House Hats, Ramshackle Army, Joshua De Laurentiis, Fascinator, Gold Mines, Sex Jedi, Iowa, Green, and Dozers. They're behind all the tunes you hear throughout the show. They all rule. Smash them on Bandcamp, Triple J and Earth, Facey, Apple Music, Spotify, whatever you follow. NBA Straya's Sports Trade band, so should you. And that is it. We will catch you tomorrow, you dickheads, from Adelaide. That'll be fun. And until then, this NBA Straya saying, come drink some tins in Adelaide if you're there. And also, later, Hosanna!